A very good morning to you, wherever you're tuned in. This is Breakfast on GB News with Eamon and Isabel.
MI5 has reportedly warned ministers that Chinese spies are slipping into Britain through a visa loophole.
Now, this comes amid concerns that almost 20 suspected terrorists with links to groups like ISIS have entered the UK via small migrant boats. So, the question is,
why is the country failing to keep out potential threats? Joining us now for more on this is the former head of the National Counter-Terrorism Security Office, Chris Phillips. Good morning to you, Chris. It does feel as though our borders are pretty porous, does it not?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, of course, the borders of the EU as well, because these same people are getting into France and getting into Germany. And then some of them are making their way over to the UK via these boats. It shouldn't be any surprise. We've known about this for a number of years.
what's about these Chinese spies?
And that, again, is pretty much common knowledge that people within China are really a part of the system, and the system is there to protect the Chinese economy and country. So listen, you know, we have allowed ourselves to have these open borders, and it's not surprising that states that aren't friendly to us would make use of them.
And so how much of a challenge does that pose then when you've got actual legal possible spies coming in from China through this loophole? Then you've got, you know, possible terrorists coming in without any documentation, presumably incredibly hard for the likes of you to have to be able to keep track of. I mean, how genuinely big a threat is that to security here, and what do the security services do about it?
Well, it is an absolutely enormous threat to the country. It's not only terrorists, of course. It's criminals as well. We know very well that the Albanian drug gangs are using that method to get people into the UK. Listen, we're tying our hands behind our back here, and making it so difficult for police security services to keep us safe. And everyone that comes over, of course, only one has to turn out to be a terrorist in order to cause huge loss of life in this country.
Yeah, just explain to us, Chris, the gangsterism throughout this country, whether it is people trading, whether it is, prostitution, whether it is county lines, drug trafficking, and a lot of these are being run by foreign gangs.
Absolutely, and this has grown immeasurably over the last 10 years. And as I say, it's not only in the UK. People are being moved. Some of the people that are coming over will be trafficked. There's no doubt about that, in order to work in the drug farms, etc., that are popping up all over the UK and across Europe. This is an industry. You know, this is an industry getting people across the country, across the world, in order to work for them in these, as you said, the drug gangs. But the more concerning bit is the terrorism aspect to it. And if we know that 19 have come over, as this report shows, I think the numbers are much, much higher than that. And as I said, you only need one of those to go bad on us to have a massive loss of life like we had in Manchester.
Okay, Chris Phillips, thank you. Chris is a former head of the National Counter-Terrorism Security Office, and we're talking about people getting into the country who shouldn't be here. We're letting spies in, and we know they're spies. Is that, Chris, just before we go, is there sort of quid pro quo in all of this? Do we let Chinese spies in and they let our spies in? Everybody knows they're being spied on, so there's a sort of give and take philosophy, or not?
I think that is the case. Of course, we've got thousands of spies all across the world. That's how MI6 operate. Whether it's actually going into a country, some of them will be pretending to work there in order to get access to information. It's common knowledge across the world that this sort of thing goes on. But of course, at the moment, in particular, we've got issues with the Chinese government and the Chinese country.